So Phylicia, will you introduce yourself to us? Just introduce yourself, your family, a little bit of your dynamics about yourself and your family and your kids.
So I am Phylicia Thompson. I am married with two kids. So my husband is Sam, of course. And I have two kids, Sanaya, who's 11, and little Sam, who is 7. Yeah. So I have a tween and a 7-year-old.
Fun ages.
Yes, right? Super exciting. And
So,
Sanaya's going to middle school, so that's super exciting too.
girl, oh my gosh, 6th grade. Are you ready?
I'm nervous. I'm nervous, especially I work in the middle school and I see kind of little girls and their drama. It is, yeah. I think I'm ready, but I don't know.
I agree. I agree. So, how do you balance being a mother and making time for yourself?
Like that's probably one of the hardest balances you have because I feel like when you become a parent, it's sacrifice. You sacrifice a lot, but it's something I love to do. I don't regret it or any, you know what I mean? I'm super excited to do that. So finding time for myself, it's hard, but usually I feel like my husband can sense it, like, okay, she might need a minute.
Sometimes.
So either like him just surprising me with some time off, that could just be like go take a break, that could be a spa day. But just on a regular day, I just literally communicate with them and just say, hey, Mama needs like 15 minutes. I'll be right back. Just give me a minute. So I just express that and communicate that. We're super open and we communicate basically everything. So yeah.
That's amazing that you guys have that communication piece because that's kind of vital in order to like kind of just say, okay, mama needs a moment, right?
Yeah.
I need
Right.
a moment to myself. And I think sometimes we forget that we need those times, those moments with each other, by ourselves to kind of refill, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
give me a moment. So
And
I've
at
tried to
first you
do
feel guilty. You know what
yeah.
I mean? At first I used to feel guilty, like trying to, why do I need time for myself? Like that's not important. But in order for me to I have to function well in order to pass that on to my kids. And I have to be okay as the woman of the family, you know what I mean? So if I
That's
need
so
to take
true.
those 15 minutes, that's more important than breaking down in front, like, listen, y'all, now
That's
I
so
told
true.
y'all, you know what I mean? So
Right.
instead of snapping, you just take that moment to yourself and that could just be reading, that could be just doing whatever you feel is comfortable. So yeah.
Yeah, that's important. So the next question is, what's most challenging? So you have a couple of different hats you have to juggle, right? What's most challenging about being a mom for you?
Um, I feel like just juggling that time. Like you said, I work full time. I have the two kids, the husband, they have activities. They have to be at, but also, I do own two beats. Me and Sam do our marriage ministry stuff. We do the Who Knows Who's Best. So making sure we get that stuff scheduled and recorded too. So I think the most challenging thing is time and making sure that I'm spending that time with my kids intentionally. So being intentional about my time with them versus we're all like, even for now, like we're all home, right? We're all at home, but still being intentional, like spending time with them. So let's do something together. Me and Sanaya, let's go walk in the park or let's talk about middle school. What's your fears? So just really being intentional with our time with each other.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing, and then we didn't have necessarily a question about it, but
Yeah.
having multiple kids, how do you juggle being able? I have girls, right, and I have a son
Yeah.
too, and how you mom, I guess, them as each. How do you do that? How do you take up time with both of them? Take up time with each other? How do you seem to juggle those hats as well and be
Uh,
intentional?
Yes, just like I said, taking that time. So I can tell when Sanaya needs just me and Sanaya time. And that's important because I love them both, but they're very different. So I parent them differently. You know what I mean? They're two different individuals. I don't expect anything to be the same. So just making sure that I say, hey, let's go do this for me and you, or Sam, let me go beat you to 5 in basketball or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just really taking that time, stuff that they love to do, making sure that I do that with them too, or spend that time with them separately. And then
That's
together.
good.
We love playing board games. We love playing family games. So I'll run everybody down real quick, and then we can all go our separate ways. But we're super competitive. We love stuff like that. So making time that I say, hey, this is your time, this is your time, this is our time together. So treat them as individuals because they are.
That's right. That's true. So, Phylicia, if you had to define motherhood in just 3 words, we know that's kind of hard, but if you had to, what 3 words would you choose?
First, sacrifice, like I mentioned before. Sacrifice everything, just like they're literally my everything. Sacrifice everything, love. Boom. That's
That's
hard.
good.
Yeah. Like those are my 3 words just off the top of my head. Yes, I'll run with that. Yeah. But it's literally it's everything. So it's super exciting. Like God chose me. You know what I mean?
To be their mom, right?
Hey, I'm gonna rock the cell, God. You know.
I think that's really important too, is to know that God blessed you with these children. And in one of the other interviews that I had earlier on, she's like, God is giving these children to us, right? To raise them, to lead them on the right path. But we have to also remember that these kids were his first. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, it took it to a whole nother level for me to understand that, yes, God has blessed me with these kids, but realize God clearly, right, had a relationship with our kids well before that. And it almost
in your womb,
yeah. And so he knew them well before he formed them.
That's right.
And so it was powerful when I heard that. I was like, yo, like, it took it to a whole nother responsibility. Like, I have to make sure and trust God. Like, you bless me with these kids to know that you're going to give me the things I need to give them, right? And so that's really like, hey, this is a blessing. It does take some sacrifice, but I think we also need to remember that God knew these kids well before we
That's right.
So
that's right.
Knowing the journey of motherhood, right, Phylicia, and where you're at now in your life, what advice could you give to other moms, other mothers out there?
I say be patient, and kind of like you said before, this is a blessing. This is a blessing. So make sure that you're patient with the kiddos, because sometimes it does get hard. Although we talk about it's a blessing, we know that there are challenges too. But don't lean on your understanding. You know what I mean? Know that God, it will take you through and give you what you need, give you the tools that you need in order to be successful. So I
Amen.
know we have generationals, parents that gives us advice, which is amazing because they've been through that, but know that who get, what path.
Number one, right.
Number one, absolutely. So I think that's the biggest advice, because I feel like when I first became a parent, I wasn't in my word like I am today. And you can see the difference, as far as my maturity, as well as in my kids. You know what I mean? So absolutely. Put the Lord
fruit.
first. And he will guide your steps. Amen.
Amen. That's good.
Jump to the last question, Bree. So before I'm kind of going, I'm impromptu questions. So Phylicia, knowing that you're a wife, right, and as you're maturing through Christ, how does your leadership in your home kind of direct some things? Like, how does that shift in your home? What are some things that you notice that it does, I guess?
So first I want to say it's just been a beautiful journey for me and Sam, because we kind of came together as a family and made the decision to be more intentional as far as with Christ in our walk. And with our church, we had got in a church that was like a plant-based church. It was very small, and it was just family oriented. We had young Black fathers, young Black mothers, young marriages, just all in that space. It was just a beautiful experience for Sam to have mature adult men and their conversation shift. They're talking about stuff differently. You know what I mean? Grown man talk for real, and then as far as the women, same thing. We can talk, we can relate, and it's all Christ centered. So I feel like the shift in itself, it's been like a family, not necessarily me, but it's just been all of us together, all of us collectively diving in our word, and just being true to that. So even like with disciplining our kids, that looks different. Our conversations, our honest conversations with our kids, that looks different. Even the way that we speak around our kids, that looks different. And you can see the differences in them. and how they respond to people and how they speak to people and how they treat people. So it's just been like a trickle effect, and it's absolutely been a blessing to be able to be here, to go through this path with them, and to do this with my husband. Like, it's been beautiful, and as a family.
That's good, Phylicia. That's awesome. That
Yeah,
you and
thank
Tim have that relationship. That's awesome.
Powerful, yeah,
you.
definitely.
It is. So our last question
Yes.
is, our blog is called BFF, and
Yes.
we're boldly, freely, and faithfully living through Christ.
Yes.
So, in what ways are you boldly, freely, and faithfully living through Christ?
Serving. I make it my mission to serve others around me. It could be within my schools, it could be different parents, or in our studies as sisters, but definitely just making sure that I serve,
Amen.
and be present. Yeah, and be present. So that's definitely one way I'm living boldly through Christ, because we see that time and time again. That's what he did. He served, and
That's right.
Jesus, he came down and he served. He's washing feet. You know what I mean? I'm like,
That's
hold
right.
on, I don't know about your feet. You know what I mean? But just to really serve, and then just to show that with your actions versus your words. So, absolutely.
That's awesome. This has been powerful. Phylicia, thank you so much. That's all the questions we
Yes.
have.